Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to go ahead and show you how to work out these 10 problems that you were given for TSI practice. Now, two things that you have to know about the TSI are that number one, all the questions that you are going to get are going to be multiple choice. So that's a good thing. But also, you're not going to have a calculator for any of these questions. So you have to make sure that you're able to do the math by hand. Let's start off with the first one. So you have 5 plus negative 2. So in this case, it's just the same thing as saying 5 minus 2, which is going to be equal to 3. So nothing too bad. This next one, number with numbers, letters with letters. So this one, you have to go ahead and combine like terms. So notice how you have a 1 here and a positive 4 right here. You're going to go ahead and combine those two to get 5. And then you're also going to have this negative 4n and this negative 2n. And when you combine a negative 4 and a negative 2, you get negative 6n. So you're going to look for a question that looks like this. 5 minus 6n. You actually have that right here. Positive 5 and a negative 6n. All right. Numbers with numbers, letters with letters, powers with powers. Okay, so again, this is combining like terms. Realize that you have to combine variables together, but only if they have the same exponent. So let's look at it. We have a positive 1 here, and since we are adding, we don't have to distribute the negative or anything like that. We're just going to go ahead and add as is. So we have a 1 here and a negative 2 here. I'm going to go ahead and circle those. 1 minus 2 would give us a negative 1. And so actually the only one that has a negative 1 is this one. So we kind of know that this is going to be our answer already. But this isn't a timed test. Well, you have a lot of time for it. So let's go ahead and make sure that that's the actual answer by combining the rest of the like terms. We have a positive b and a negative 2b. So that's going to be a negative 1b. And then we also have 4b squared and 2b squared. So we are going to go ahead and have 6b squared. And then when we put these in order, it's always going to be the highest exponent first, then the variable, then the constant, the one without the exponent. So 6b squared minus b minus 1. And yep, that's exactly what we thought it was going to be. So that would be your answer. Solve each equation. Collecting may be all you need. Numbers with numbers, letters with letters, powers with powers. Again, combining like terms. Opposite sign, the negatives changes everything. Okay, so let's just go ahead and see what they're asking us to do. 1 plus n is equal to 0. So they're asking us, okay, 1 plus what will give us 0? If you want to go ahead and solve so that we can make sure that we're doing this correctly, we actually go ahead and just subtract 1 from both sides. And we get n is equal to negative 1. That would be your answer. Okay, here we have to go ahead and get all our variables to one side and all our constants, all our numbers to the other. So we're going to go ahead and move this m over. M plus 2 is equal to 1 plus 2m. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to subtract m from both sides minus m from both sides, and I get 2 is equal to 1 plus 1m, right? 2 minus 1m is just 1m. And then if I subtract 1 from both sides, I get 1 is equal to m, which is c. Multiply and divide. Any two numbers or variables, same sign is equal to positive answer, different sign is equal to a negative answer. Okay, this is super important for you guys to remember, right? So if you're multiplying two numbers or variables or anything with the same sign, the answer will always be positive. And if the sign is different, then it will always be negative. So always keep that in mind. Look, we can even apply it to this problem right here. Negative times a negative, that's the same sign. So you're definitely going to have a positive answer. And what's 4 times 5? That's 20. Don't get tricked with that negative 20 there. This is going to be a positive 20. Okay, in this case, we actually have to distribute this negative. That's what that's telling us to do. So we take this negative and we distribute it inside these parentheses. So we're actually going to get negative 4 minus 5 A, which would be not that one, not that one, not that one, C. Okay, this one's asking us to simplify. So the negative is on the outside, so we're not going to mess with it for right now. We're just going to mess with this 8 over 2. 8 over 2 simplified is equal to what? Well, if we take 8 and we divide it by 2, well, that gives us 4. And that negative we added back in, so that should be negative 4. That's going to be our answer, B. All right. Number 9, 4n minus 10 divided by 2. So this is asking us to divide this whole thing by 2. And the simplest way to do that is just to take each individual section and divide it by 2. So in other words, it's going to be something like this. 4n divided by 2 minus 10 divided by 2. You can actually separate a fraction like this as long as it's being separated by a positive or a negative. So 4n divided by 2, this is just going to be 2n minus 10 divided by 2 is 5. So you should have an answer that says 2n minus 5. It's that right there. Solve each equation. Bunch on one side, numbers on the other. So we're going to go ahead and solve opposite operation. Okay. So for this, we're just going ahead and do the opposite of what this is telling us to do. So this is 5 times r. 5 times r is equal to negative 20. So to get rid of this 5, we want to get r by itself, right? Because that's what we're trying to figure out. We're going to go ahead and divide by 5 on both sides. When we divide by 5, guess what? Those 5's cancel out. We're going to divide by 5 on this side here. And so you get r is equal to, well, if we have a negative divided by a positive, that's going to be a negative as well, negative 4. And so our answer is going to be